American Pacific Mortgage is a multi-state corporation supported by mortgage professionals who live and work here in the Treasure Valley. The office is at 8921 Hackmore Drive, just off South Maple Grove. American Pacific Mortgage treats you as an individual, not a number. They are a local equal housing lender with underwriters who know the area. Finding the right loan for you is the goal. They have a wide range of loan products: FHA, VA, refinance, home equity, and reverse mortgages for seniors. More on the web at thelendingspot.com or phone 629-4959, NMLS number 1850.
And now, your friend in the real estate business, John Adamson.
Welcome to Property Line today. I'm John Adamson with Realty Management Associates. My guest host this week is
Curtis Mangus with American Pacific Mortgage.
Darn fine lender too. We're here to answer any questions that you have on buying, selling, or investing in real estate. There's two ways to get your questions to us. You can go to propertylinetoday.net, and up in the right-hand corner it says Ask a Question. Go ahead and ask your question. We'll answer it. Or if you're watching the show right now, you can call 830-2557 and you can send us a question. We've already got at least one page of questions in, so I know we're going to have a lot of questions this show. Interest rates, I kind of noticed over the past couple of weeks, they've just kind of hit a kind of a plateau. They're kind of a
we had
benchmark rate right now.
Yeah, rates went up. Thankfully, they went back down some. Money's still cheap. You know, historically, rates are typically still around 4% on a 30-year fix, depending on product. Certainly, though, rates went up some. That was expected. They haven't gone up near as much as they're projecting and predicting for the year.
And there's still money available for homeowners, and there's still money available for investors.
Money's cheap if you can get it.
If you can get it. It's going to be kind of tight.
And, you know, if you've got good credit, you know, don't wait. Go ahead and apply. See where you're at. There's lots of low down and zero down programs out there for people. And if your credit's marginal, credit doesn't get better on its own. You need to work at it. You need a plan. We can help you with that. I work with a good credit repair company. I've had several good success stories lately.
Yeah.
You know, where within a matter of a few months, their credit scores have
over
gone
100
up
points.
80 to 100 points, which can make a dramatic difference. That's basically the difference for a lot of people between whether you're a renter or a buyer.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily a long-term project.
It's going to be harder to be a renter. I mean, vacancy numbers are out for the first of the year, and whether it's a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, or 3-bedroom, it's under 3% vacancy. Now, there's 365 days in a year. 10% vacancy means the home sits vacant a little over a month. Well, you can do the math at 2.7% vacancy. Renters are moving out and new renters are moving in. It's a week. So you shouldn't worry about vacancy right now if you're thinking about buying a rental unit. If you're a renter now and your lease is up, you can probably expect an increase in rent, I would think.
Well, and with where rates are, most of those houses, you can buy them, no down, cheaper than you can rent them.
Sure.
Why wouldn't you buy it?
I'm going to talk about a house later that's on our Homes for Idaho Heroes. It's available zero down for veterans. Seller pays all the closing costs. It's in the Kuna impact area, just south of Meridian. And if a school teacher, a firefighter, or policeman can buy it zero down, seller pays all the closing costs. And they're going to give the Homes for Heroes Foundation $3,500 to use for anything they want once they buy a house.
And I'm not sure where that home is, but most of that area is also rural development.
That's what I mean, rural development, so it can go zero down.
Yeah, and so
whether it's a firefighter or a policeman, a school teacher, or a veteran, they can go zero down.
Well, and you don't have to be any of those to go RD.
Well, sure, but you do if you want to get $3,500 for buying the house.
Right,
but,
right.
You know, loan delinquencies, this is a key indicator on how the economy is doing. The mortgage brokers reported that it's now at 5.6%. 5.6% of all the mortgages are in default. That means they're behind on their mortgage payments. But that sounds like a lot, but it's normal. And it's really where it was pre-recession. So the fact that more people are making their home loans on time, that's a really good indicator that what you're doing.
Well, that's 19 out of 20.
What?
That's 19 out of 20. 5% is 1 out of 20, which is not a bad number.
No. So, one thing I think you're going to find realtors a little bit more skittish about just meeting you at properties. February was Realtor Safety Month, and but a lot of kooks have come out. There's actually one right now, a foot fetish threatening agents, where they're sending threatening text messages to realtors' phones saying that they have to take a selfie of their foot and send to them, or grave bodily harm is going to happen to them. I know it sounds silly, but this is true. And so I'm sure it's going to have, you know, some people on edge, to say the least. And, you know, another thing that I think I want to share with the people before we get in to answer their questions are the home buying workshops and the reverse mortgage workshops. We've increased the workshops now weekly, and they're in Eagle and they're in
Meridian.
And Meridian. And so if you want to attend one of the free, these are accredited. These are the same kind of classes that realtors would take for continuing education. And so no cost, just let us know you want to attend the workshop, find out all there is to know about reverse mortgages if you're over 62. And we're still having the homebuyer workshop once a month. So that's really good news. Some other info, we mentioned it last show, Treasure Valley Community TV is now doing videos for homeowners and homeowners agents. And we talk about it all the time on the show. 90% of everyone goes to the internet. That's where they start their search. And if you don't have a video, your chances of that millennial buyer, which is about 40% of the market, isn't even going to take time to look at your listing. But you know, you have some excellent realtors out there doing videos, but you really can't expect somebody that's, you know, trained to market your home, to know the legal, the finance, the negotiating, to also be a copywriter, a cinematographer, an editor. So the instructors here at Treasure Valley Community TV are doing these videos. And we had them do a video, and we're going to show that during the break, so you kind of know the quality of work they do. We're going to show some of that, the video. And eventually, what they're going to do is all the different homeowners that have Treasure Valley Community TV shoot their videos. They're going to have a showcase or a preview of all the different homes that are available in Boise with videos. And it'll play during the day so people can see what is available in Boise to buy.
Okay.
So just some wonderful opportunities. I think that's all the news I had. I think what we're going to do is we're going to show you this home that is available right now with the Homes for Idaho Heroes. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It has a family room, a living room, 3-car garage, fully fenced, irrigated yard, south of Meridian. I think it's 174.5. If you're a veteran, you go 0 down. If you're a firefighter or a policeman or a school teacher, you can go rural housing, 0 down. Seller's already agreed to pay all the closing costs. Give $3,500 to the nonprofit that they'll give to you as a thank you for staying in our community and buying a home. We're going to run that so you can finish up seeing it, take a small little public service announcement, and then we'll be back with all the questions. How's that sound? We'll be right back. Look at this wonderful home located in rural Ada County, just south of Meridian before Kuna. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 3-car garage home with a separate family room. You enter into a living room with vaulted ceilings. Off to your right is a bonus room that could be a 4th bedroom, a formal dining room, library. You move into the kitchen and you'll see it has nice cabinets, built-in microwave, white appliances, a dining area, sliding glass doors that go off into a big fenced backyard. To your right, a family room. Off of the family room is a separate utility room leading into the 3-car garage. Off of the family room is a half-bath downstairs. As you go upstairs, you'll notice that there are 2 guest bedrooms, a full bath, and a master bedroom suite with its own bath and a big walk-in closet. Similar 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 3-car garage homes in this area are selling in the mid $190,000 range. This home is priced just under $180,000. Special terms for investors. The home is currently rented for $1,165 per month. The renter's lease is up in May, and they would like to stay, and the lease could be renegotiated. When you buy the home as a rental at closing, the seller will give the new landlord a $3,500 non-refundable cleaning deposit. If you're buying this through a self-directed 401k or a self-directed IRA, the seller will finance with non-recourse financing, which is needed for this type of purchase. For owner occupants, this property is available under the Homes for Idaho Heroes program. If you're a veteran, a fireman, policeman, or teacher, this home can be purchased with zero down. The seller will pay all of the closing costs, and at closing, you'll get a tax-free, never has to be paid back gift for your service. The gift on this home is $3,500. That would allow you to skip a couple payments. It might allow you to take that long-deserved vacation, pay your moving costs, or do that extra fix-up that you'd want to do. Again, this 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 3-car garage, priced less than similar homes, would be a great investment for someone looking for a rental, or special terms for homeowners that would allow zero down, zero closing costs, a payment below rent, and $3,500 as a thank you for being of service to our country and our community. Well, with this wonderful springtime weather that we're having, a lot of you have taken the time to go to propertylinetoday.net and send us your questions on buying, selling, or investing in real estate. We've got quite a few, but if you have a question, go to the phone, 830-2557, 830-2557. Call in your question. We'll try to get it on there as well. Curtis, you want to take the first one?
Sure. The first one's from Katerina. Will bank lending ever rebound to its historical peak prior to the 2008 meltdown? Well, Katerina, first of all, I hope not. Things went a little bit too far the other direction as far as leniency with underwriting and guidelines, which is part of the reason why we had the meltdown. And right now, I would agree that guidelines and lending is too tight, too restrictive, too conservative. We would like it to swing back the other way a ways, but unfortunately things just got too loose and too easy with credit, and we ended up getting in trouble economically and actually globally.
Well, and there are some good news. I mean, you know, I don't know if Katrina means will there be all the various types of loans that we had pre-bubble, but you know, we mentioned at the first of the show that delinquencies are back where they were pre-bubble. You know, more and more people are making their mortgage payments. Fewer homes are going into default. So, you know, we're back to where we were in 2008 that way. Mortgage applications up, pending home sales up, real estate market looks healthy. I think really just some tight credit right now, Katrina. Everything else is pretty much where we were prior to the recession.
And so, and quite often lending is one of the last things to come back around. It is starting to improve generally.
Well,
it is still tight.
Prices could be another year or two before we're at the prices, pre-bubble prices. So we do have low prices, but we have low interest rates too that we didn't have back in 2008.
As I say many times, you know, money's cheap if you can get it.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get.
Well, and not only is it cheap, but because it's so hard to get, we're seeing more ownable carries. We're seeing more lease to own. We're seeing sellers and realtors being a little bit more creative. So, Katrina, I agree. I think we're better than we were in 2008 right now.
So I think things will, things are rebounding. It won't ever get quite to the point, again, I don't
They have
believe.
to have loans for self-employed people. They have to have loans for self-employed people. And I think they're going to have to somehow figure that out.
And they have not done that yet. we're hoping to see, some improvement still in some areas, and like credit scores below 620. Really, those loans don't exist anymore where they did before. With
Well, and now
downs.
there's credit repair services available. You were talking, $79 first month, and then $59 after
a month.
that. And you've seen several people increase their credit score 100 points in a month or so.
Well, not that quick, but typically I can see somebody in success stories raise their credit score 80 to 100 points
So this
in 3
might
to 5
actually
months.
encourage people to learn more of their credit, try to get it, up to snuff. And it's going to improve their lives, not just to buy a home, but cheaper insurance, better job applications, all sorts of things. So even that might be a benefit pre-2008 that we're seeing right now. Next question is from Olga. She says, please discuss the shortfalls and the opportunities real estate offers young investors. I've mentioned many times over the years that I paid off my student loans by buying a house with an unfinished basement from a contractor over on South Cole Road. And back then I bought it for $38,000, and I finished off the basement, sheetrock and ugly carpeting, put in another bath, and I sold it for $72,000. Well, it doesn't take a brain science, even after expenses and everything, I made like $30,000, which, more than paid off all my schooling. So the benefit that I think young people aren't talking about is homes go up in value. I did a comparative market analysis for one of my investor clients. He had bought it a few years ago, bought right. It was a government bank repossessed home. Renters, the lease is up. And so he said, well, maybe I'll sell it. He made, in 1 year, a 10% increase. A lot of these people that are holding their homes, we feel that in the next 2 to 3 years, home prices will probably go up 10 to 15%, just to bring it pre-recession levels. So, Olga, this is why I'm encouraging young people, look at their first home as their best investment, not where they're going to live for the rest of their life. But look at it, maybe somewhere where you can go in and do a little painting, a little recarpeting, get the yard back up into shape, sell it, and you'd be surprised what it has to offer. I think you wouldn't ask a question like, what are the shortfalls? I see the shortfalls all the time, don't you? That they're not going to be able to travel or take job opportunities or...
Well, my concern with shortfalls that I read on this, when she says shortfalls, what's the risk? And the risk, Olga, with younger people buying is just inexperience, not realizing a good deal, not looking far enough from a timeline down the road as to what's important. And so what I encourage all younger, quote, home buyers, investors, is you want to surround yourself with an experienced lender and an experienced real estate agent, probably an experienced financial planner, and get all of their advice, as one of my father's favorite sayings, proceed with caution, but proceed.
Well, and you don't have to worry about vacancy and that kind of stuff if your investment is your home. And I don't ever want to move again. If you're young and you don't have children, you don't have a bunch of luxuries that have to be moved from one house to the other, just plan on staying there a few years, building some equity, selling it, getting your bills paid off. It's a good way to get in the rental business. Now, if you are thinking, Olga, about going out and buying a rental, because there's a lot of young people thinking it's a good time to buy real estate, like we reported at the first of the show, vacancy is under 3% for 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 4 bedroom homes. And when you get around 2.7% vacancy, that means when a home comes available, it's rented within a week. And so, and a lot of times you can go out, you can buy homes that are already rented. So if you're worried about vacancy or whatever, be a little bit more specific of what you're worried about, and there's usually a good way. For instance, when you get first and last month's rent, well, that covers almost 10% vacancy if you do the lease correct. That you're always 30 days ahead of the game. When you buy an investment property, your payment's not going to be for 30 days, but if you have a renter ready to move in or is already there, Well, now you're 30 days ahead of the game or 10% vacancy. So there's a lot of little tricks that real estate investors do that if you'll follow them, Olga, I think there's, well, not as much risk as most people would think.
Right, and most people that I have found, have had trouble with real estate haven't realized what they're getting themselves into unless it's a market crash like 2008. And that goes back to what I'm saying about just make sure that you've got some people that you can mentor with, good financial advisor, experienced real estate agent, experienced people, and it cuts the risk of real estate way, way down. There's always some risk involved,
And
but
there's
you
a
can't
basic
eliminate
rule.
it. No, you can't eliminate risk, but there's a lot of things you can do to minimize it so that you have a comfort level, and then at some point you just have to get your feet wet.
And I would just say, will it cash flow if I have professional property management? Because you can go out and hire a property management that will put the renter in, do the legal work, collect the payments, keep it clean, make the repairs. So, I mean, that's a good rule of thumb too. I'm hoping more young people are going to start thinking this way, like Olga, about maybe we should look into real estate investments as part of our overall portfolio. Like I said at the start of the show, most of the down payment money right now, it's not coming from the sale of homes. It's not coming from gifts of parents. It's coming from people saving. And I'd like to see younger people start thinking that they can save in their retirement accounts, they can save in their but they can also invest and save in real estate as well.
As part of a
balanced portfolio,
Exactly.
Sure. What's the next question?
The next one's from R. Caputo. Tax time is just around the corner. Any tips?
Well, the thing is, most of the tax advantages are for real estate investments, not so much your single family home. I always say get out your closing statement if you bought a home last year. See how they treated the prepaid interest, that sort of thing. That might be a deduction you wish you would have taken. But the real deductions in real estate come from owning rentals and maybe having your own property management company. I could do a whole day seminar on all the tax advantages, from hiring your kids to do your videos to paying them a salary, different ways that you can pretty well make it so all your rental income is tax free.
And my tax tip would be if anybody is thinking of buying a home, especially if they're self-employed or they're commissioned, have any kind of bonus income, that they talk to their lender and have their tax return reviewed before they file it.
Yes.
So that if anything needs to be adjusted in the way of income, because of course, as I said many times, the CPA's job is to minimize somebody's tax liability, which works out just fine, except when you're working with people like me.
Well, and people like you, I think that's the biggest tax tip. Millennials are always, one of the things they're looking for is I don't want to say a kickback, but an incentive to buy a particular home. And one incentive might be the millennial asking the home buyer to pay points. Now, you can pay points and get even lower interest rates. I mean, we're talking 4% is the new rate, but with some points, you can get less than 4%. And if you get the seller or the agents to pay points, well, you can, even though the seller or someone else paid those points for you, you get to deduct them off your taxes. So that's one incentive you might want to ask for, is points, because you get the tax benefit and the lower rate. Let's see here. Vega 1. Thank you, Vega, for going to propertylinetoday.net. It says, is it legal to live in a commercial property? Are there office spaces available that have bathrooms with showers and maybe a kitchenette? People used to live above their stores, and this appears to be the only way I can have a business and not sleep on the street.
Well, Vega 1, there's lots of stories over the years of people who have bought dry cleaning businesses, restaurants, different things like that.
And turn them into houses, too.
Well, or lived upstairs, lived in the back, that kind of thing. And yes, there's nothing illegal about living in a commercial property, especially if you own it.
There's a lot of homes, like along Overland and that sort of thing, that are single-family homes with kitchens and bathrooms and bedrooms that are also zoned commercial.
Yeah, but most of the time, I get the impression she's thinking commercial building. And even those, depending on if you've bought the building or if you're renting the building, if you're living in it, that's perfectly fine as long as you're paying your rent and taking care of the place, the landlord generally is not going to care
Well, and
about
that-
your circumstances. And so, yes, you can do that. There's nothing illegal about living in a commercial property. I get approached fairly often because the definition of a commercial property is typically one of two things. There's either a business in it and or it's zoned commercial other than residential. And so that can be a gray area as to what is even considered, because you said there's lots of residences out there that have commercial zoning that people run businesses
Well, and there's
out
some
of.
brand new, beautiful commercial that are just unfinished. That if you did 1,000 square feet, it'd be kind of spendy. That you might negotiate a leasehold improvement of a kitchenette and a private bath for the office. I mean, that's certainly possible too.
Well, if you've got a nice break room in it, it's not that hard.
To make it something else.
Right, and put a door, close off an area. So, no, you would be fine. The key is, can you find the right property and the right landlord? Because I'm assuming you're probably talking about renting a place and putting a business in it.
I had one come to mind. Down on Main Street, the corner of, I believe, 8th and Idaho, or 9th and Idaho, there's some old offices above the cafe there. I think all those offices have bathrooms with shower or tub. It'd be adding a kitchenette. The one thing I was just thinking too on Vega 1, if you're thinking about buying and not renting, go out and try to find a home that you can convert to commercial. Because if you go out as a homeowner, you're only going to be looking at 0 down to maybe 20% down max. Whereas if you buy commercial, you're probably looking at 30% down or more, and instead of 30 years, probably a much shorter term. So don't you agree that if
that's a good idea if you can find a place that doesn't have CC&Rs.
Right.
And there aren't any restrictions about running a business out of somebody's home, because a lot of subdivisions won't allow that at all. So if you can find a place, depending on the nature of your business, and if you have to have a quote storefront, if you can just run a business out of it and it's an internet business, or it's something to where you don't have to have a storefront, it would be a great idea. Because the problem is, first of all, if you start a new business, you're 2 years out before a lender will even look at you.
Sure, and there are a lot of single-family homes like on Maple Grove and some pretty busy streets that are still residential that you could maybe get a conditional use permit to run a business out of it after you buy it as a home to get that low interest rate, the low down, and the longer term.
So Vega 1, it might be a good idea to just, depending on the nature of what your business is that you want to do, buy the property first as a single family residence.
Well, and also, I mean, if you're looking for something nice, I know that on 36 and Hill Road, there's a little garden center there and a bistro and a dental shop, and they build it so you can buy, I think it's a purchase, you can buy the unit that has so much commercial downstairs and a nice living unit upstairs. So yeah, Vega 1, just look around. Send us some contact information at propertylinetoday.net. I'll do a little research and get back to you.
And the next one's from Tiki. Is it common practice for an agent to have you meet at their office, fill out a prospect identification card, and ask to photocopy your license? I have trouble giving this info to a bank, let alone a real estate company. The agent I called required this, and so did the lender she wanted me to qualify with. Why do they need this just to give me the info to buy a house? Well, I'll speak on the lender side.
Because you
first of
always
all.
get a driver's license photocopy.
We're right to the point now of blood type and DNA,
Okay.
John. All right. We not only want a driver's license, we're very often asking for a Social Security card, Medicare, Medicaid card. We are then validating that Social Security number. We are validating their tax returns. If you want to borrow money, it right now is a fairly thorough, detailed, invasive, lack of privacy process. It just
I tell
depends on
everyone
what
they
say.
treat everyone like drug dealers.
Well, let's just say you're guilty until you've
Okay,
proven
we'll
yourself
say that.
innocent, John, and
We'll say that.
we'll leave it at that. And so, yes, if you can pay cash, you can avoid a lot of that. But if you want a loan, you need to be patient You need to give the lender what they want within a very short, reasonable time frame so that your loan continues to move forward. It's perfectly obvious to ask why, but because of 2008 and there was a lot of mortgage fraud and loan fraud and property fraud going out there, that they've got a lot of, quote, safeguards in place now, for lack of a better way to call them, that requires you to certainly, driver's license is absolutely required. Very often social security card, and there's a number of different background checks, because by the time we've looked at an application, driver's license, credit report, bank statements,
Right.
we do a pretty thorough job.
And most of the time, if there's a lender involved, I know that I encourage my staff, I always go in, whether it be a first-time home buyer or an investor, as their broker, to go in, help explain things, help them determine what might be the best loan for them, that sort of thing. I also look at it from the real estate point of view. One of the things that I offer, one of the things I encourage people to look for if they're buying a home or investing in a home, is an exclusive buyer broker. Now, the Idaho law requires that, before you do any substantive business, and some people say they could even be walking through an open house, the seller needs to discuss agency with you. Are you going to be a customer or are you going to be a client? Can they just try to sell you stuff, or do they have to represent you and look out for you to help you get the best price and terms? Since Idaho law requires it, I almost always meet a client at either my office or at a lender, just so I can go over the agency. I probably don't get a driver's license and that sort of thing, but there's been a lot of safety issues. We just kind of laughed about the guy with the foot fetish, but that scared a lot of female realtors. So I think on a safety side, some realtors are, taking it seriously
Well,
too.
and I want you, Tiki, to understand that you're asking an agent that doesn't know you to meet you at a house they may not know, and there may not be anybody there, and it may be vacant, and they don't know who you are. And so consequently, they want to have some information on you to leave at their office, just from purely a safety concern. And you really can't blame them in this environment, because there have been, unfortunately, some issues where agents have met people they didn't know at a house and they've been assaulted or murdered, or there's been things happen. And so from a safety perspective, I think it's really important that agents do that. And so look at it from their side of things, Tiki, that it's
Sure.
a safety thing that they're doing.
I mean, you used to be able to get on airplanes and not get searched. You used to be able to go in the federal building and not get searched. I mean, safety now is it's part of the American way.
It's where we live.
So let's see here. We've got one that came in from Julian. Julian says, what are the risks of using an unlicensed contractor to do some work on my house?
Well, Julian, first of all, of course, I wish we had a little bit more information on what that work was.
Let's assume it's over $2,000.
But obviously, if it's an unlicensed contractor, my first question is, do you know them? Do you trust them? And have you seen their work?
Right.
If it's minor in nature, cosmetic, and it's not a great deal of money, and you know them and have a comfort level, that's fine. But if you're thinking of anything of any consequence in the way of repairs, construction work, there's a reason why those things require a license.
It's mainly insurance, so that if they bring over a helper person that gets injured, that they have workman's comp, that sort of thing. You want them to have liability insurance, so while they're over there working, if they put their elbow through grandma's china cabinet, so that's one of the reasons you'd use a licensed contractor. Most of the licensing law benefits the contractor. So if you don't pay them, they can file a lien. If you're not a licensed contractor, you can't file a lien against somebody if they don't pay you. But like Curtis said, if you know the people, you know they're going to do good work, nothing's stopping you, Julian, from hiring anybody you want to do the work. Now keep in mind, if it's over $500, you want to take it off of your rental income, that sort of thing, you're probably going to have to send them a 1099 at the end of the year. So. But that's not too hard to do.
No, generally not. The next question is from Haas. I had my house listed for over 3 months, and it may have been shown twice. We decided to take it off the market, and now we're getting 2 to 3 calls a day from realtors saying they have interested people. Is this normal? Well, first of all, Haas, there are a lot of agents out there who look for expired listings.
That's what they're doing, is they're going through. And as members of the multiple listing service, we can see when certain homes go expired. And so I don't do this, and no one I work with, but a lot of new agents, when they're getting started, will call on expired listings. Maybe the reason it expired is evident and no one's even told them. Maybe the renters won't let people in to see the house. Maybe it's hard to find. Maybe the directions are wrong. But Haas, I think the main reason isn't because your realtor did a poor job. I think it's just because a lot of agents use this as a way to bring in new business.
It's a marketing tool, and in the end, they want to list your house.
That's why they want to give you free market analysis and that sort of thing.
They're trying to develop a relationship with you so you can put your house back on the market. And I've heard this before. Somebody's taken their house off the market, and suddenly their phone was ringing off the hook from other agents.
And you know, sometimes when you take your house off the market and put it back on, it sells really quick, just because there are a lot of people that they call it farming expired listings, calling up listings that didn't sell and say, you know, if you were to list your home with me, I could sell it, and I could sell it for this. Can I come over and talk to you? And that's basically what they're trying to do, is just build their business. So, but sometimes that interplay, it leads to interested, people who know about your property and then want to try to sell it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with generating activity.
No.
If you're still trying to sell it, Haas, who knows what kind of activity it's going to generate when you took it off the market, and it'll generate some more when you put it back on.
I'll tell you what I would do, Haas. I would say, I'm really interested, but I've had so many realtors call and say they could sell it. What I'd like to do is just get it back on multiple, and I'll pay you 1%. But I want you to offer every broker's agent 5%. That's almost a full listing, and it is a full listing that a lot of agents get. And so then you're going to have every agent in town looking at that listing as if it's their own, and they're selling it themselves. You might really get some interested people if every agent out there knew they were going to get a 5% instead of a 2.5%, 3% commission if they sold the home. So just a little trick that I've used in the past, and I think it works quite well to build this incentive. It's an incentive for the realtors to show your home. I saw that one of the major builders this week sent off a flyer, willing to pay 4% commission on all these new homes, and had listed it. We mentioned at the first of the show, millennials expect something. I think that's why, even though the Homes for Idaho Heroes is a good program, it fits into that millennial program. Yes, these people want to thank you for being a veteran. They want to thank you for being a policeman, a firefighter, a public school teacher, by giving you these cash gifts for buying a home. They're hoping that their home will sell by being generous. But it's something, too, that this millennial generation, they know that salesman's getting compensated, and I want some of the action. You see it like on phone commercials where the guy comes in trying to bargain with the phone company on free minutes, and he's trying to negotiate the best possible deal, but that's the attitude. So the next one is, I think it's Laura. Mm-hmm. Laura says, what do you think of selling a home by auction? I'm from Tennessee, and it's common there. The auctions here are for estates and foreclosures, not on regular homes. And Laura, you're correct. Most of the auction business is for hard-to-sell property, foreclosures, some estate sales. People go looking for a great buy. And I see auctions on properties. It's a very small percentage, but there are homes that are sold on auction. There's some internet auctions. I was the #1 seller of HUD properties for many, many years, housing and urban development foreclosures, and they were an auction, and they would price them very low and get a lot of momentum going and hold them off the market for a week and then take the highest bidder. And there's a lot of merit in that. If you can build interest at a low price, you can sometimes get not only market, but sometimes above market prices. The one drawback, Laura, is when you go to an auction, there's usually an auctioneer's premium. So you might think you're getting a good deal, but keep in mind, a lot of them tack back on another 10%.
Yeah, 10% is fairly common. Perhaps on a real estate it'd be closer to 5%, but it's still a pretty significant fee.
Yeah. and a lot of them have setup charges and advertising charges and that sort of thing. I've seen the ones in the South, and they're quite a public event. They'll draw hundreds of people. But the auctions that I see locally, if 20 people show up. And so you almost need to sell them with a reserve, because you'd hate, to have an auction, have no one show up and sell your home at nothing.
We hate it when that happens.
We just hate that. So, Laura, we do have auctioneers that do auction homes, and I've heard people just swear by them. They're a little scary for me. I think a normal real estate agent could list your home at a below market price, and tell people that they're maybe going to pay a 5% commission like HUD, and to go look at it and put in a bid, and they'll take the highest bid. We see this like on HomePath and the Fannie Mae foreclosures. Even though they're not an auction, by the time they're advertised and they get around to looking at the offers, many times there'll be 5 or 6 offers on them. So they'll go back and say it's a multiple offer situation. Give us your best bid, and then they sell it to the high bidder. So, if you can tailor make your listing to look like an auction, I think it's safer than if you just go out and hire an auctioneer to, sold.
The next question is from Zach. I've been seeing more properties that say basically make an offer, sight unseen, because the owner doesn't want the renter disturbed. Does this work, or is it a waste of time?
Well, I'll give you, for instance, the house that we showed during the break. It's the Homes for Hero home, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 3-car garage. There's a renter in there right now, and they don't want to be disturbed. So there's nice video. If an investor wanted to buy it, there's owner financing available. Okay, the renter would like to stay. Now, if a Homes for Hero person wants to buy the home, the people will move, and the seller's willing to give $3,500 to the veteran or the policeman or the fireman to buy that beautiful home. Okay, but they can't lose the income while they're offering this. One of the reasons they're able to give a $3,500 gift for your service is because the home isn't sitting vacant. And so it's common. You're going to see a lot of homes, especially with videos now, where people can do a whole tour through the house on video, and you're going to know if you're going to like it. And you're going to find realtors that are going to come up with standard clauses like work to be done per home inspection, put in painting reserves, carpeting reserves, general cleaning reserves, or they'll just kind of, if it's something they like, you would then know what maybe the rock bottom price the seller would take. Go back and say, I looked at it inside, I don't like it. Here's my new offer. But at least now you kind of know what the bottom is on the offer. So I think with spring coming on, it's hard to sell a home with a renter in there. But our inventories are up because of it. What have you got to lose for putting in an offer on a home subject to seeing inside? Nothing.
Right, and keep in mind, if you make an offer on one that's sight unseen, you can certainly go over there with the home inspector.
Sure.
Go through the entire house at the time. Home inspection is a few $100s. And if you don't like it at that point in time, you can withdraw your offer.
Or make it, just put in, I don't like the house, but I would counter. If you would steam clean the carpets, or put in new carpet, or paint the living room, or pay additional closing costs, even though once I see inside I'm not thrilled, well, if you did that, I would be thrilled. I'd go ahead and buy it. That's what I'm kind of saying. At least you kind of know what the bottom floor is. You might go in and say, well, it's a reasonable price for, a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-car garage home. If they'd pay my closing costs, if I could get into it for nothing down and they'd pay me $3,500, I'll go look at it. Well, then if you go look at it, there's something you don't like, you can always ask for it. That's the secret, is you have to be willing to ask.
You don't ask, you don't get, Zach.
Well, we went out and we said, we have a new program. We have Homes for Heroes. Would you be willing to give some of your income back to a veteran, a firefighter, a policeman, or a school teacher here in the community? They said, how much? I go, well, about 2-3%. Probably get your home sold faster. We'd love to give a cash thank you to our heroes. And it's just asking. And that way we can give these cash thank you gifts. And hopefully without any government support, get a little bit more momentum going in the housing here locally. Let's see, you want to do the next question?
The next one is from Sarah. Is there a way to look for homes that are handicap friendly? Well, yes, Sarah. In the normal search engines
Sure.
out there are different things that you can input
It'll
in
say
that.
features, normally bedrooms, baths, garage, and it'll say features, and you can check short sales or is it a repo, and usually one of those categories will be handicap accessible.
Ramp, handicap accessible, that kind of thing. So yeah, there are certain things that you can query in those search engines so that you can pull them because obviously.
Well, and
that's
here's
important.
another reason to have your own broker. If that was a particular interest, there's some word searches that realtors offer because they have the full package where they can put in ramps or they could put in handicap accessible. So even if the realtor didn't check the box, it would show up on the remarks section and they'd be able to send that to you. Rodney, thank you, Rodney, for going to propertylinetoday.net and sending this in. You talk about owner financing and say it's a good way to get property sold with tight credit. But how does it affect the capital gains tax? I was told that I better get enough up front to pay the capital gains tax. Is this true? And yeah, Rodney, if you carry back paper, if the principal that you get is going to be figured as a ratio of how much money you got versus the sales price. And so let's say you got a third of it up front and you figure what your capital gains tax is, then you're going to pay a third, on the money you get. And then whatever other principal comes in, you'll pay that same percentage until you're paid in full. So you're actually deferring the capital gains over time.
Yeah, see, I consider that to be an advantage.
That is an advantage.
It is a huge advantage, and I know people who would rather carry paper because if somebody pays you cash,
then you either have to go buy
up
another
front,
home,
or you 1031 it, depending on if it's your residence or not,
pay a big capital gains
or
tax.
pay a big capital gains. Whereas if you finance it over time, you have deferred that income over time, and it makes it much easier for you to pay. Quite often, you may be in a lower tax bracket as well, and you've certainly deferred the taxes.
Well, but what you have to be careful is, when the people bought the house, it might have been really cheap. Homes go up in value. They go and they refinance it. So now they have less equity in the home. And maybe you cashing out to the loan is really what they owe in capital gains. So if you only paid half of that, then they'd have to go to the bank and borrow money to pay Uncle Sam. So there's you have to understand what's owed and when they refinance and that sort of thing. One way that I think we're going to see a lot of is only taking enough to cover the realtor and closing costs, because you don't have to count those in capital gain. You got to subtract that off your gain before you have to pay capital gains.
Because it's an expense.
Yeah. So have somebody put 5, 6, 7, 8% down. Use that for your closing costs, and then carry it interest only. You could charge 6% interest only, and it's still what basically a 4% loan is at, principal and interest. So that way you're getting this income coming in, you just pay ordinary taxes on, and until they pay your loan off, you've deferred your capital gains tax out that far.
So I really think done correctly that seller financing is an excellent idea, especially with credit is tighter.
Well,
you can get a better interest rate.
If you're tired of being a landlord and you don't want to 1031 into property of equal or greater value with equal or greater debt, well, then an installment sale is a great way not to pay Uncle Sam, a fourth of it back in taxes.
Right, and so I'm a big proponent of seller financing. Done right, I've done it myself.
Sure.
I've carried and financed different notes in different ways over the years. And for people out there who own the home or have a lot of equity in it, seller financing is a great way to defer income, and instead of renting it, you're collecting the income as a sale. You don't have to worry about maintenance and fixing it. They've still got to cover all the things as if they own the home, but you still get to collect that income over a longer period of time.
Sure.
But you don't have to worry about playing landlord anymore.
Well, and now the person you would rent it to can also file a homeowner's,
exemption.
So they have less property taxes. So it makes it better, safer for them, to carry the property.
And because they don't typically these people don't credit or income qualify. There's
Or they're
a reason why.
self-employed.
Or the same idea. They
Work
that
on commission.
they're
or the
willing to pay a higher
contractors.
interest rate. And so you can often sell that home at a 6 or 7, 8% interest rate, which is a pretty good return
Interest
these
only
days.
normally. Yeah.
At a pretty good return, or amortize it out with you could just put it on a 30-year, 20-year, 15-year
you could.
term
Most
and just
people
collect
put a
it,
10, 15-year balloon on them.
depending on how soon they need the money back.
Exactly.
But there is a surprising amount of, quote, creative financing that you can do.
And this is the way parents can help kids. Relatives can help relatives. Get into the housing market. And if you have specific questions on how to do ownerable care, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Contact us. Contact me. Go to Property Line today. Say you'd like to have a conversation. We do a workshop, pretty much one-on-one for investor clients, where we'll discuss. Curtis and I will discuss these different ways to do it, how to maybe credit qualify the people that you're thinking about being the bank for, some different techniques you're going to want to employ to be successful, but I definitely think you're going to see more of it in the future. Let's see, we're at the last one.
It is.
We're at the very last, and we only have a couple minutes left, so that's wonderful. It's from Caramel Crunch. I don't know where that name came from, but it's from Caramel Crunch. Is it safe to buy a house built on a slab in this part of Idaho? Dad told me to stay away and only buy one with a crawl space.
Well, Carmel, I financed quite a few properties without a crawl space. It's perfectly fine, meets normal lending guidelines. They've just run the utilities and all of that, either through the ceiling or the walls or some other way. It still meets normal code.
I've seen many mansions that have slab floors where they've gone in, put in the pattern concrete, the stained concrete, and that's the floor in lieu of hardwood or carpeting. It's beautiful. It's very nice to just be able to walk in the sideway into big doors and not have to walk up a bunch of steps, to get in the front door. I prefer a house on a crawl space. I don't know why, but I would think that there's no reason, Captain Crunch, not to buy a home on a slab foundation. And we're out of time, they're saying. What a lot of questions. I hope all of you are enjoying this wonderful springtime weather and enjoying the Easter time of year. If you have questions on buying, selling, investing, if you want more information on the Homes for Idaho Heroes that pays a cash gift to any first responder that goes out and buys a house, go to Property Line. We'll go over all the specifics of the program with you. Or if you want to hire Treasure Valley Community TV to do a video, if you're a homeowner or an agent of a homeowner, Treasure Valley Community TV, you can use their script writers, their cameramen, their editors, and come up with a beautiful property video to show. So that's going to be the show. Until next week, folks. Again, I'd like to thank Curtis for being my co-host. And until next week, keep your feet on the ground, but keep reaching for the stars. And may God bless each and every one of you. Bye now.
American Pacific Mortgage is a multi-state corporation supported by mortgage professionals who live and work here in the Treasure Valley. The office is at 8921 Hackmore Drive, just off South Maple Grove. American Pacific Mortgage treats you as an individual, not a number. They are a local equal housing lender with underwriters who know the area. Finding the right loan for you is the goal. They have a wide range of loan products: FHA, VA, refinance, home equity, and reverse mortgages for seniors. More on the web at thelendingspot.com or phone 629-4959, NMLS number 1850.